Evil Dead Rise 2023 is the latest addition to the iconic Evil Dead franchise, directed and written by Lee Cronin. The film takes a bold, new approach to the classic horror series, which was originally brought to life by Sam Raimi in 1981. Known for its blend of gore, dark humor, and supernatural terror, the Evil Dead series has been a staple of horror for decades. Evil Dead Rise seeks to both honor the legacy of the original films and carve out its own identity within the franchise. It does so by shifting the setting, introducing new characters, and delivering a modern take on the franchise's signature carnage. In this review, I'll explore the various aspects of the film, from its plot and characters to its atmosphere, themes, and relationship to the broader Evil Dead universe. Evil Dead Rise breaks from the traditional cabin-in-the-woods setting that has characterized much of the franchise. Instead, the film is set in an urban high-rise apartment building, offering a fresh and claustrophobic environment for the demonic horror to unfold. The film follows two estranged sisters, Ellie, Alyssa Sutherland, and Beth, Lily Sullivan, as they reunite in the wake of personal crises. Ellie is a single mother raising 3 children in a rundown apartment building in Los Angeles, while Beth is a guitar technician whose nomadic lifestyle keeps her constantly on the move. Their reunion is interrupted when Ellie's children discover a mysterious book, none other than the infamous Necronomicon, deep in the bowels of the building after an earthquake. As the ancient text is unwittingly unleashed, the family finds themselves trapped in the apartment complex, besieged by demonic forces that possess Ellie and seek to destroy them all. One of the major shifts in Evil Dead Rise is its emphasis on familial relationships, particularly the bond between the two sisters and the maternal dynamic between Ellie and her children. The horror of the film is not just the supernatural threat posed by the Necronomicon and the Deadites, but also the emotional strain and trauma inflicted on the family. The film taps into fears of parental failure, abandonment, and the breakdown of family structures, which adds an emotional depth that is somewhat atypical for the franchise, which has historically focused more on survival horror and grotesque body horror. This thematic shift brings an interesting dynamic to the narrative. The relationship between Ellie and Beth provides a grounding emotional core to the story. Beth, who has been largely absent from her sister's life, is forced into a maternal role, not only fighting to protect her nieces and nephew, but also coming to terms with her own reluctance to settle down and embrace responsibility. Ellie's possession by the Deadites further complicates this dynamic, as she transforms from a loving mother into a grotesque and terrifying antagonist, pitting the family against one another in the most horrific way possible. The performances in Evil Dead Rise are a key factor in the film's success. Alyssa Sutherland delivers a standout performance as Ellie, especially after her possession by the Deadites. Her transformation from a caring mother into a monstrous entity is chilling, and she manages to balance the grotesque physicality of the role with moments of dark, twisted humor, a hallmark of the Evil Dead franchise. Sutherland's portrayal of Ellie as both victim and villain captures the duality of the Deadite possession, making her a memorable antagonist. Lily Sullivan as Beth is equally compelling. Her character arc is one of growth, as she evolves from a somewhat aimless and detached individual into a determined protector. Sullivan brings a vulnerability to the role that makes Beth relatable, even as she takes on the mantle of the film's final girl. Her performance, especially in the more intense, action-driven sequences, showcases her ability to handle both the emotional and physical demands of the role. The child actors, particularly Morgan Davies as Danny, Nell Fisher as Cassie, and Gabrielle Eccles as Bridget, also deserve mention. They add a layer of innocence and vulnerability to the film, which makes the horror feel more immediate and personal. The younger cast members are not merely victims or background characters. They are integral to the plot and manage to hold their own in the face of some truly terrifying sequences. Cronin's direction brings a fresh yet faithful approach to the franchise's signature mix of horror and dark humor. Evil Dead Rise is visually striking, making excellent use of its urban setting to create a sense of confinement and isolation. The apartment building, much like the cabin in the original films, becomes a character in itself, a labyrinthine and decaying space where the walls seem to close in on the characters as the Deadite threat grows. The shift to a city environment adds a new kind of claustrophobia to the film, as the characters are trapped not by the wilderness but by the concrete and steel of their surroundings.